Hi, Bold Bakers. As you can see, I am back home in Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. And I just wanted to share with you this video that you might not have seen before. It's one of my favorite Irish recipes for homemade Blaas from County Waterford. My mum is in this video making it with me. My mum is from Waterford. I grew up on these Blaas. They're really famous and absolutely delicious. So I hope you like them. Hi Bold Bakers, we have a very special treat for you today. My mum is here all the way from Wexford, Ireland to bake with me for St. Patrick's Day. We are going to make something that is traditionally from the county where my mum is from, County Waterford. Mum, why don't you tell us what we're going to make?
We're going to make a Waterford Blaas. Actually, it can only be called a Blaas if it's made in Waterford, so we're taking a bit of license.
We are, but I do that all the time, so there's nothing new about that.
It's a relatively soft roll, which is double proofed, so there's a certain fermented flavour to it.
Yeah.
And it is really popular bread roll in Waterford.
Yeah, super yummy, like great for sandwiches, great for rasher sandwiches, kind of similar to a bap, but not as soft as a bap. And how do you pronounce it to us? Because Kevin pronounces it kind of fancy. He says blah. It's like, that's not how they say it in Waterford, Kevin. Say blah.
So it probably, Blaas, it's Blaas.
Yeah.
You know, but it comes, they reckon it comes from the French word for corn. Not sure why, because it's a wheat roll. It's not made from corn. From corn. Somehow or another in Waterford it became Blaas.
The recipe can be found on biggerbolderbaking.com. It's my mum's recipe, and also she did a lovely write-up, so definitely check that out. Okay, Mum, let's get started with our first step.
So the first thing we're going to do this time is we're going to sponge the yeast. And that's not what you usually do, Gemma.
No, because I use instant yeast and I add mine straight into the flour.
Yes.
In Ireland and other parts of the world, it's very common to have active dried yeast, which is very similar, but the only difference is
you would need to sponge it.
You need to sponge it, and that means putting it in liquid.
Yes. So into your warm water, you put some little sugar and your active dried yeast. Give it a stir and allow it to stand for about 5 minutes, and it forms a sort of a foam on the top.
So you might have noticed these aren't my usual spoons. These came from a Bold baker in Hawaii, Rachel. She sent them for my mum to have. And they're very similar to mine, and they're really sweet. So Mum, you're going to take those home with you to Ireland.
I'm taking them home. Yeah, and thank you, Rachel.
So this is nice and foamy, so let's move on to our next step.
Okay. So we're going to use the mixer for this because that's what I would do at home, with the dough hook attached, of course. So Gemma, add the flour and the salt.
Okay. So Mum, in your recipe, you use bread flour.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean a high protein flour.
Yeah.
You know, protein on the side of the pack where you buy your flour. Gluten is actually indicated as protein.
Yeah.
So the higher really for this recipe, the better.
Yeah. You can use all-purpose flour. Like I do that a lot for baking.
Yes.
You just might need, I think, less liquid.
Yes, I think a little less liquid. It's a bit softer.
Yeah. Now just turn on your machine to a low speed.
So now you can just add your yeasted liquid. I reckon about 3/4 of it in one go. And hold back the remainder just in case, because flour in different places behaves in different ways.
You don't always need all the liquid.
No, you don't. No.
So just hold a little bit back and then go from there.
Yeah.
So I can see that this is a little bit dry, so we will add in, I think, the rest of the liquid.
Okay.
And then all you want to do is knead it for around, Mum, how long?
5 minutes.
Around 5 minutes or so.
5 minutes. And by hand, I mean equally.
Yeah.
You know, about 5 minutes.
You can do this by hand also. You don't have to use a machine. The telltale sign that I like to look for is when your dough cleans the bowl.
Yes.
When it all comes up and it just forms one nice big smooth bowl, and that's what we're looking for. So Blaas were a big part of our childhood because my mum is from Waterford. When we used to go visiting Waterford, we would always stop at a certain shop to get Blaas.
That's right, a little shop on the Cork Road.
A little shop on the Cork Road, which is where my mum grew up, on the Cork Road.
That's right, yeah.
But I remember that so clearly, getting Blaas and then bringing them home to Wexford, where we're from, and having them with butter and rashers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely delicious.
Yeah. And we grew up with them because, I mean, it was probably the only bread that we had that was freshly baked almost on the day.
Yeah.
And people had their favourite bakeries.
Yeah. I remember that was one we used to go to. We used to also go to one in Ferrybank in Waterford.
Yes.
But it's just those kind of food memories that like really stick in my mind. That's why I thought it'd be a really good idea to like show everybody this recipe.
Yeah.
Mum, what do you think? Is this looking good?
Yeah, it looks perfect actually. Nice clean ball of dough.
That's what we're looking for. So now it's going to turn off the machine and then take out our nice, this is really gorgeous dough actually. Nice and smooth. And Mum, you've got an oiled bowl there.
I do.
The reason why you always want to put a dough in an oiled bowl is because the oil just helps it rise. If it doesn't have that oil there, it kind of has to struggle. You don't want your dough to have to struggle after going to all that lovely work to make it. I'm going to cover it tightly with some cling wrap and then put a tea towel over it. And Mum, like you said, it needs to ferment twice or proof twice. So this first time we're leaving it for how long?
So I suppose about an hour for the first proofing, and then you knock it back.
Okay.
And proof it again.
Okay, great. So we'll come back in an hour's time and have a little look.
Yeah.
So it's been an hour and look at our dough. It looks gorgeous.
It does. Yeah.
It's nicely risen. This is a big dough. So all you want to do is just go in with your fist and just knock out all of the air.
Yeah.
There's a lot of yeast in this dough, isn't there, Mum?
Yes. I think it adds to the flavour.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be normal. It wouldn't be normally what you or I would do.
Yeah.
Normally we would use about a good teaspoon maybe. But there are more like 5 teaspoons in this one.
It's just a different bread roll. There's nothing there's nothing different wrong with it or anything. It's just a different bread dough.
No, but it's proofed twice, so you get it's a doubly fermented really. So
and that's really important.
Flavour, yeah.
So there we go, you knock out all the air. Now what you want to do is cover it over with your tea towel again, and then Mum, how long do we proof it for this time?
30 minutes.
So 30 minutes. It should rise right up because it's kind of warm.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, 30 minutes and we'll come back.
Yes.
Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. This is looking gorgeous. What do you think, Mum?
Yeah, ready to go.
You're the boss for today.
Not very often.
No. And so all you want to do now is just knock the air out of this as well, right?
Yes, punch it back down again.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my gosh, it's really funny how fast it rises.
Yeah, but there is a lot of yeast in that, in this particular dough.
Yeah. So from here, all we have to do is turn it out onto a floured surface and cut it into rolls.
That's it. So when you put it out on the board, now I didn't really do this terribly evenly, but you would cut it maybe in half and then roll it into 2 sausages.
Yeah.
And then you can cut it. It's at home. You don't need to be terribly perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
So for this one, I'm going to cut, because I've already taken one off the end, so I'm now going to cut this into 4 pieces quite easily like that. And then these can be just rolled into rolls. Some of them will be a bit bigger than others, a bit more generous than others.
Yes, I'll help you
But
do
you can do it, because you can do it on the board like that.
Or you can do it in your hand.
Or you can do it on your hand,
like
which
this.
is actually really great.
And it gets rid of all the seams.
It does, it just makes it easy, yeah. Makes it yours a bit more perfect than mine, but...
Well, it's not a competition.
What can I do?
But if it was, I would be winning. They make nice big rolls. So you're looking for 12, so just get 12 rolls out of it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And the greedy person can take the big one.
My mum probably was actually my first teacher when it comes to baking and to cooking. She also helps with social media. So a lot of you who message on the website, on Facebook, because we get, I don't know, Mum, like
a lot,
thousands of messages each week, thousands. We had to have a team of people who help answer them. And because my mum has such a great background with food and baking, and she knows everything.
I do. Yes, this is true.
That she's really good.
I didn't know Gemma knew I knew everything.
That she's really good at helping answering the questions, and it takes a load off. So that's why you got to know a lot of people as well, like a lot of bakers from all around the world.
Yes. I do. I know their names, and even sometimes their children.
Their children's names, how many kids they have.
I know.
Where they're living. Yeah, we know all those things.
Do. Yeah.
So it takes a village, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it does.
So these are looking good. So let's put them into our pan.
Okay.
So over here we have our 9x13 pan. It's oiled.
Yes.
And let's just pop in our rolls.
Yeah.
And then Mom, how many rows?
So 12, but I'm not that accurate, so I could finish up with 13.
Okay. Well, in this house, we're accurate. We follow the rules.
Nobody cares in my house.
So we're going to do 4 rows by 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's
right.
lovely.
And they grow together.
Yeah.
Because it's a batch bake.
So that's a very good point, that this is called batch baking. And what you want to do is, I like to say, I give them enough room to kiss, but you don't want them making out. So you give them a little bit of space in between, and then they proof, because they have to proof again.
Yeah.
They batch bake, which means you end up with not a round roll, but all of them baking into each other.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks really nice, and it makes for really good sandwiches. So we're going to lay over some cling wrap nice and tight, make sure no air gets in there, and then lay over our tea towel.
And then Mum, our last proofing, how long is this for?
About 30 minutes.
Okay, cool. You can go, if you need to go a little bit longer, if your room is colder, 45, you know, you'll be the best judge of that.
Yeah.
So let's set them over to the side and let them proof.
Yeah. So the rolls are proofed, and now you've got to do what is the important part, which is dusting them liberally with flour.
Yeah, which is kind of their signature look, right?
Absolutely, yeah. In Waterford, they used to call this baker's butter.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because, I don't know, maybe some people didn't have real butter, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, if you glaze it.
So it was called baker's butter. Yeah. So I know that's another little tiny side story to that. Yeah.
And it's kind of the unique, it's what, like, these are flowery rolls. Like, this is what makes them kind of, it's one of the things that makes them unique.
Yeah, it is.
It's unique to them.
That's it, yeah.
So you dust them with the flour.
Dust them with the flour.
And then are these ready to go into the oven now?
And these are ready to go into the oven.
Perfect. Let's get them in.
So now we just need to bake them off at 425 degrees Fahrenheit, 210 degrees Celsius for 25 to 35 minutes.
These look amazing. They actually look just like real Waterford Blaas.
They do. And they're lovely and flowery, which is how they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. And when they come straight out of the oven, they're really soft, aren't they?
They are, yeah. They're really lovely. I mean, it's quite a dense bread, actually. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, it's sustaining, this one.
Yeah.
You know?
I like how the batch, we did the batch baking and they all kind of have baked in together. So tell me this now, Mum. How do we, well, I know how we do, but let's tell everybody how we would serve them.
So, I mean, in some cases, nowadays, they would serve them as like a breakfast roll. So you would have bacon, maybe sausage, egg.
Pudding.
Pudding, which is...
Rash,
a black pudding.
Beans.
Well, no, that might be a bridge too far.
Beans are delicious on a breakfast roll.
They are, but that's relatively a modern invention. I mean, back in the day, you would have had maybe marmalade and butter and, you know, things like that.
They make really good BLTs, don't they?
Absolutely, yes.
But what we would do at home often when Mum would go to Waterford to visit her sister, Rosaline, or we would go for trips and come back, we would have them with Kerry Gold, which is Irish butter, which is the best butter in the world. And rashers, which is our bacon. In America, we only have rashers here, so we're going to have those. So when they're fresh out of the oven and still nice and warm.
Yeah.
I took a really big bite. Oh my gosh, they're delicious. So they do say that Blaas, like champagne from Champagne region, made out of outside of Waterford, can't be considered Blaas. But these are the closest things to Blaas that you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
I know I said these are best eaten the day of. You can pop them into the oven to refresh them.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
and super out of the freezer.
They're really good out of the freezer.
Yeah.
We keep these in the freezer all the time because we have so many of them, and Kevin and I just want little sandwiches every now and again. So we keep them in the freezer.
Yeah.
Delicious. Thanks a million to Patricia Stafford for joining me in California to be on an episode of Bigger Bolder Baking. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there. Hope you have a lovely day. Recipe is on my website, and I'll see you back here really soon for more Bigger Bolder Baking.